be the note taker because it doesn't say note taker.
Oh, I
I
don't
did
know.
it last week and it didn't say to do the note taker, so you
Uh-huh.
might want to do it just in case, but it technically doesn't say
Okay,
like
I'll just do it just in case, but
okay.
if I don't need it, then whatever. I'll just have it for my own personal stuff, I guess. Okay, we're live.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, right. Don't want to take any chances. Okay, so to begin, who had something fun? I don't know. I could start because why not? Okay, so I decided from one of the. I just decided to choose a standard, and I chose reading literacy grade 3.3, and it's describe characters in a story and explain how their actions contribute to the sequence of events. So my lesson plan was so every day for reading time for about 45 minutes to an hour. Oh, sorry, these are my bullets. Sorry. So what we're gonna do is for about 22 days or so. So like about a month. This is gonna be like a month-long thing because we're gonna be reading a book. And the book I decided that's good for third grade is Charlotte's Web, and it's like a classic.
Very
I don't know.
great book.
Yeah, I just like Googled like good books for third grade, and Charlotte's Web popped up, and I was like, oh, I know that book, and it's a really good book. So, and it has a lot of characters in it too, which will help this standard of describing characters. So like every day, they're gonna get 45 minutes to an hour to read. Each of them are gonna get a copy, but there's gonna be some options. They can sit and listen to the audio and follow along. They can just listen to the audio and take notes, or they can go off into the reading area and read the chapter silently to themselves if they want. And let's see, it's 22 chapters, so it's about 22 days because it's going to be a chapter every day during that reading time. And then the students will have a character chart, and then they're going to add a new character every chapter. So the character chart's going to be about 22 things long, 22 like spaces, and it's going to be like a new character every chapter, and they're going to write a summary about them, like their name and their relation to the story. And then at the end, like a big essay that they're gonna have to write like kind of like an essay on like their favorite character and about like what were their lives like maybe before, like maybe do some inferences, like maybe do what their lives were like before Wilbur, or if it was Wilbur then write something else, or like what are their lives after now. I mean obviously some characters died, but I mean like just what I'm saying, like what, like just like any essay about them, like, and like what did they do to help out and kind of stuff like that. And then let me think here. And then like they fill out like the summary of the character. So there's a new character every chapter that they can find. And I left like a little space below where they maybe can go back to it. Like let's say chapter 1 they decide it's like Wilbur or something. I don't know. And they do Wilbur, but then they write a summary, but then maybe in chapter 6 they find out something interesting about Wilbur that they liked. There's gonna be a little space below that where they can add in stuff about the character that they chose. Like in the previous, I feel like that would be a lot of fun. I mean, because they get to like think about characters and like listen to the story and have some fun with it, and then get to write a story about them, which is I think is fun. And then I had accommodations are the silent reading and the audiobooks. So like like it's going to be an audiobook, like so it will be read to them, but they can choose to go silently read or follow along and take notes, like I said in the beginning. And the characters will be developed, and I said that I talked about the additional space already. Okay. Let's see. Every chapter will be posted so on the audiobook so they can listen again on like a flipped classroom kind of thing. So that, like if maybe they want to reread the chapter, they can like check out the book, or they can go on to the flipped classroom maybe on the class website and listen to the chapter again. I'll see. I don't even know if it's possible. I'm just gonna say it is to post the chapter to that every night and yeah, every day so students can go home and listen to it if they need more help and stuff like that. And also I want to like give like charts to them, like separate charts that aren't character charts where they can like write notes during the story, like while they read if they want. So that way they can keep track and like remember things that they want to put in their character chart. And then I would collect these character charts at the end of every reading time so that they wouldn't have to keep them and lose them possibly. So that's why they would just all turn them in at the end of the reading time and they'd just be in a folder. And then they get them back at the beginning. That way they don't lose them. And then I said that students could have like a speech to text, maybe with just headphones, like the audiobook on headphones, and then go somewhere if they need that. If the audio is like too weird, that way that they can get headphones and it can be more focused. I feel like that would help out a lot of students. Let's see him. They'll be collected every day. And then I'll do a formative check every day. I'll check and see if students are filling in the characters. And if a student doesn't fill in a character, I'll kind of make a note of that and have a discussion with them about what's confusing to them, or are they understanding the story, and then kind of go from there with that. So that's kind of my formative assessment. And then the summative assessment in this is obviously the essay at the end. So they're gonna the essay. So that will show me how well they really focused on developing their characters based off of this standard. And also there's probably a few other standards like writing and sentence structure and stuff like that. But I just chose the one because that's my main focus one, but it definitely spiderwebs into other core standards as well, with writing and reading as well. So it's kind of nice. It's kind of a one shot. So anyway, that's it. Yeah.
No, I liked it. I like the use of the worksheets that you would provide for them, because not only are they reading it, but they're writing things down to comprehend the rest of the book. So that helps them remember everything as they're reading, rather than just reading and trying to remember what they're reading at the end. So that way they have notes to go look back on at the very end of the book, and they could be oh, in chapter 1 Wilbur did this, but in 2 he did this, and then Charlotte did this,
Mm-hmm.
Instead of having to flip through the book, they could flip through their notes. So
exactly.
I thought that was really good.
Yeah, I also like how you said that you would make it, or try to make it available online for them to get more practice with it if they were struggling with a section or whatever of the book, or not understanding it.
Or if missed a class or something.
Yeah, that's true too.
They can listen to it at home as well.
Yeah, or even the fact that they didn't comprehend the chapter well enough in the 45 minutes, then they could go back and be well, I know this part of the book, but I forgot why he did that or something, And so it's super important to let them do it also on their own time if they needed to. So that is really smart to do.
Well, thank you.
Welcome.
Yeah. I've always, when I was in elementary school, I always loved when we were reading a book in class, and we always got to do this cool little project with it as we went. I just I remember doing comics and stuff like that, and I always thought those were really fun. And if you think about it, it really reflects writing and organizational skills.
Oh,
but yeah, so fun. I don't know. I always enjoyed it as a kid, so that's kind of where I got the idea. I was like I should do because as a kid when I was in school, I really enjoyed it. So
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, I tried to get the accommodations. I thought that was pretty good actually. Just headphones, graphic organizers. They can go. I like the option to read it silently, because some kids don't like to just sit there and listen.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they could follow along, but I like the idea of just sending them to a different part of the classroom where they could just silently read. But then, but then again, if they're not reading or something like that, I would obviously formatively know, because I would check every day and I'd be okay, well, maybe you shouldn't read it silently. Maybe you should listen to it today and see if you have a better understanding of it. If they're not, if they just don't want to do it or something like that, I don't know, students who read on their own, I could just encourage okay, well, make sure you're still, doing your character chart the best you can. If you really want to listen, you can at home, or you can welcome to join us. It's just kind of whatever their strengths are, kind of whatever they prefer, really. It's a lot of options. So I'm not forcing them to read it silently, or I'm not forcing them to just listen to it.
Yeah.
So I like that range.
And then they could switch back and forth every day. They could read silently one day and then listen to it the next. So they're not stuck to one certain thing.
Yeah, it's totally free, but organized.
Yeah.
But, options, they like it when they have options.
Exactly.
They really do. And it's their choice. Makes them feel special. And, yeah, so why not? I don't know. But anyway, if that's all, if anyone wants to go next, or if anyone has anything else. Yeah. Okay. Next.
Okay, I'll go.
Okay.
So I found a lesson plan. It was for like for kindergartners, and it was that at that one it was learning like the letter B and the sound that it makes. And so like my lesson plan that I changed it to was working with sound recognition for like the long and short A. Um, and like I I've tried thinking of like accommodations, but the only ones that I could really work with is so like I'd be giving them like a handout of pictures for them to like review all together. So like we would start about talking like what the letter A makes and like the A or the A and why it makes that and like go over some examples like on the board or together out loud. And then we would like find examples in the room that have the letter A in it, and like we would discuss which one that like category that falls under, like on the board. I would have like the long A sound or the short A sound, and we'd put those words that we found around the classroom on the board together, so they had examples as well. Um, then I would try and find to like a video online, like on YouTube, of like a better explanation, like kind of dumbed down for them to watch because sometimes like listening isn't the best way to do it. So they would watch it and see like how someone else is doing it too. And then I would, after the video, I would be like, I would question them a little bit and say, like, what did you learn? Like, tell me what the long A sound is, what the short A sound is. Again, like, have them express to me out loud. Then I would hand them out that worksheet. On the worksheet, it would be like, it would have the like long A sound and then the short A sound and then like pictures like scattered. It wouldn't be like specifically. So then I would have them cut out those pieces. And for the people like with low motor skills who couldn't cut or like at the end end up gluing them on the worksheet, I would have magnetic boards, and I would have like made them prior to that. And so like I would have them be moving them around rather than gluing and cutting. But that's the only accommodation I could really think of because I don't know what else, because technology I don't feel like would really like come into play for this just because it's all a hands-on worksheet for everyone else. But I was gonna look more into that because I couldn't find anything, but maybe look more into that. But once everyone had the worksheets before they cut them out, we would look over the pictures, make sure no one had any questions about them, and after that, then I would have them cut the pictures out. Um, and on their desks, I would have them like sort out the pictures on their own underneath their categories to see if they could do it like without any help. And then after I felt like 10 minutes after everyone was done and like walking around the room, I would stand back up on the board and like go over the whole thing together with them and like, but have them come up or like have them like blurt out which one goes where. And then after all the words that I knew were on the list were like put out there on the board, we would go over seeing like individually if the word was right and why. And then after the words were all written on the board like correctly, I would then have them glue um, their pieces on like a colored piece of paper in the correct spot, so that way they had them like for future reference and like they could put it in their folder. So if they ever needed help on like an essay, they could pull out that thing and be like, oh yeah, this is a long A sound and why. And then that's pretty much it. It would be like a 30-minute lesson, but it's short.
Yeah. Well, for kindergartners, you can't go that long.
Yeah. So
they'll trail off and go elsewhere in the world.
Exactly.
And your half your lesson will be like not even work. So yeah,
exactly.
Even more than 30 minutes probably would like.
It's probably too long, but
yeah.
the process, I figured they would get a little bit of energy out and kind of happy about it. So
yeah, I really liked the exploration of the classroom. So how they were gonna go explore and find things around the classroom that had short and long A sounds in it, and that way they can kind of like look. And then also I recommended just like if you do find a YouTube video, like I don't know, like maybe there's some songs to remember when A is long or short. I don't know. Kids love songs.
That's true.
Like I don't know. I don't know any at the top of my head. I know a few for math, but not for yeah. I know like ones about syllables. I know a few songs, but not about not about vowel sounds though, but I'm sure they're out there. Trust me, there's songs for everything, and that way they can really kind of remember it as like a procedure. But then definitely, I liked that you're gonna have them go up to the board and have that kind of discussion. Even though our kindergartners, it's nice to have them like, talk about it, because I think if they about it more, they'll get a better grasp on it, even though it's short, like, who knows what they're going to say.
Yeah.
Anyway, but hopefully they're going to start being able to grasp that concept of a, stuff like that.
Yeah, it gets them like thinking about it and like trying to start noticing the difference, even if they don't quite understand it fully yet. Like, they can just like go and practice off of like the stuff that you guys talked about, and just trying to be more like aware and like see what, okay, even like in everyday words that they may have, like cat or like whatever and stuff like that, just to pick up on that stuff.
Yeah. Because it would be definitely like simple words like cat and then like cake, like
yeah,
simple words that they've like seen, and like sight words, not like super unfamiliar words, but
yeah, that makes sense, because yeah, and especially if they look around the classroom, they're gonna find, I don't even know what's around the classroom. Tape. I don't know, something.
Yeah.
That's down long A.
Yeah. And then there's like a stuffed cat animal. Yeah.
Well, yeah, long A says its name, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I remember. I took literacy last year. Semester, and I forgot like every.
It's funny how much you forget when you like know how to read.
Yeah, you're just like, oh, that's what that's called, and that's what that's for. It's like it's gonna be such a refresher going into teaching. But yeah, that's a very good lesson. It's simple, perfect. Like, they're gonna get all that. They have multiple options. For accommodations, yeah, I don't know. I would just say, like I said, the ability, like the magnetic thing was good. If they have
problem with that is they wouldn't be able to like take it home. So I have to like also think of something that they would be able to like.
Maybe you could have have them use the magnet thing, but then maybe have a friend make another one or something. I don't know.
Yeah, that's true.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Or like, even like you make them or whatever, and like just have them ready for them.
Yeah, like print out copies, because like if they were doing it together, they obviously have an understanding. So like,
in my opinion, it's just so early before like all those like special accommodations you need, unless they transfer from early childhood to kindergarten and like have all those accommodations ready. But you're not going to find the kindergarten is where usually the discovery happens.
Yeah, that's true.
Students with disabilities, I think, in elementary school. I think most of the time, but yeah. So overall, I think your accommodations are really good for the age group that you're working with, because like I said, it's kindergarten. Like, there's not going to be too much, because they're all learning. Like they all have very basic skills.
Yeah, don't know how to cut straight still. Like, yeah.
So it's not like they are like at a certain level where you're like, well, they're below that level because kindergarten is the lowest.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think your accommodations are good with the grade level. Anyway, next between Maya and Laramie.
I can go. Mine's for first grade, so it's gonna be pretty simple as well. I chose math, more of a geometry, kind of analyzing and reasoning with shapes. So I want students to be able to identify shapes within a class and then be able to model them as well. I want to anticipate that kids are kind of experiencing their own learning methods and trying to figure out how they learn best. So I wanted to offer more audio, visual, and kinesthetic learning opportunities so they can kind of experience each and determine how well they learn through each method. And so for my opening, I wanted to get some engagement and kind of help connect the lesson with stuff that they've already known. So, because we're teaching shapes. So I'm going to hand out different snacks across the classroom. So there'll be like tortilla chips in triangles, crackers that are rectangles, fruit roll-ups that are circles, and then kind of after passing out the variation, be able to ask like, what do we notice about our snacks? Like, what are the differentiations between your snack and your name? What are the shapes and what do you know about them? And then move into echo.
Oh, I don't know if I'm sorry. I'm moving around a lot because I have to plug in my charger. So I don't know if that was me. Sorry, continue.
Yeah.
Anyway, carry on.
Totally lost track. You can still hear myself. Okay. So then I will listen to see how they react to explaining their snack. I want to introduce the shapes and their definitions, kind of like by drawing them on the whiteboard and explaining like, well, if something has this many sides, it'll be like 4 sides, it'll be a square, and then if the 2 sides are longer, it'll be a rectangle. So that way I have a visual and kind of an audio explanation, and just to kind of show what circles, triangles, squares, ovals, diamonds, and rectangles look like. And then while we're learning these descriptions, I'll have them take their notebooks and kind of draw the shapes while we're going through them so they can kind of get the experience of what they look like and how to model them on their own. And then to model or to help understand what these shapes are, I'll ask for them to point at items around the classroom that are certain shapes. So I would anticipate like windows, rectangles, the clock is a circle, and so on and so forth. And then I'll hand out a coloring sheet with like a train scene on it and ask them to color specific shapes, specific colors, so they can kind of identify within a simple picture what each shape is. And that will be like one of my assessments, is kind of seeing how they complete that and if they complete it accurately or not. And then the final portion would be modeling the shapes with like Play-Doh at their own time on like a piece of cardboard. And that would be kind of like my summative assessment, because I was able to look back at what they completed at the end of class. And then, yeah, super simple.
Hey. I like that. Yeah, it was really cool. The snacks that were like shapes and stuff. That was cool because that's something like tangible that they can feel and kind of relate to. Because who doesn't love food and snacks, right?
Yeah.
I just figured that maybe in the beginning you want some behavioral expectations, not to eat it too fast, or like, I mean, not, before they look at it, make sure that they're not like eating it like right. Just kind of behavioral. I'm pretty sure it's obvious. Did we get that?
No.
No.
A coder or something. What is going on? Okay. I hear myself and it doesn't sound. Maybe I won't express my opinion. Okay. So I just behavior irritation.
Is it just his thing that's like, I don't know, can you hear me okay?
Is that mine or your day?
Oh, no, okay, never mind.
What is going on? No, it's going.
Wait, I think it got fixed.
Oh, it did?
Oh, it did?
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Anyway, I just said lay out some behavioral expectations about the food
Yeah.
to
Okay.
start.
I like how you also like said that you were trying to like target like audio, visual, and like kinesthetic. I think that's very important because like I think sometimes maybe like teachers like especially if they like favor one where that's like how they learn better, they may just teach in that style as well. So I thought that was cool that you mentioned that you would try and like hit all of those different areas.
And like especially for like first grade, it's important to have them like be doing something while interacting. I feel like so like the Play-Doh, I feel like is a really good idea because it allows them to like have fun while they're still learning because they're at that age where they want to have fun and like want to learn. And so like them playing with the Play-Doh, they probably obviously like Play-Doh at the first grade. So like it's really important to have fun while they're like learning. And I thought that was really good to include. And it's an easy
Yeah.
cleanup, and like they can form the same piece of Play-Doh into like 8 different shapes, you know? So
Yeah.
it's super easy to clean up and it's not a mess and you only have to give like out a little bit to each person. So like I think it's really smart. I think that was a really good idea.
Yeah. Starting good and simple. That's all you need, really.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Anyway, Maya, are you ready to go?
Yeah, sure.
Hopefully, we don't all start sounding like robots again. That
Oh,
was horrible. I died. It's fine.
okay, let's move this over.
Rewatching this hangout over again. That's for sure.
So
Delete.
oh yeah. After this, yeah.
After this class.
Put on camera anymore.
Yeah, right. Okay. Anyway, begin.
Okay, so for mine I focused on math more for like upper like middle school. Like I focused on sixth grade math and so um this lesson will be on like solving uh equations with a variable and trying to determine what that variable is. Um, so we'll talk about um, like like identifying what actually like is a variable, just not even related to like the equation, but just like on its own, what does that mean? And then what a coefficient is, and then um, what expressions and equations are. Um, and then after that, we'll go into all like I'll have students look at and like an example. So I will first introduce like um, let's see, sorry. So I would ask just like as a general question, like how we can figure out the amount. If I say like, oh, the amount of cookies we started with was this amount, and we have a certain amount remaining, how much was like taken away, and to see like have them think about like what the answer is, but like have them also think about like how they're solving it, and hopefully that will lead them to thinking about this idea of being able to solve it with with using a variable and for the unknown item. So so like after I give them a little bit of time to discuss that, I would ask for people to share out like what how they approached starting like thinking about this and um, after we talk about what they said and like hearing other people's ideas, um, I would then go into like the lesson and to explain to them like how uh, what like we can use this like the idea of the lesson to help solve these kind of problems and like um, explain that these problems are like one step equations. So having a couple pieces of information and trying to find one more piece of information. Um, and then I will like then go into like showing like how to like set it up because so they can see also after I talked about it, they can see it actually like written out. Um, and then we'll go over some more like basic um, uh, basic like samples or whatever using the different operations and trying to figure out how to solve it with different like scenarios as well. Um, and then I'll have them after that. I'll have them try and do a couple and remember to use or like remind them to use like the vocabulary that we discussed and like defined prior, like variable and um, stuff like that. Um, oh, and then also I'll have after they do that, I'll have them each like independently briefly think about like a couple like steps or like ways to like solve this problem after they've tried a few on their own to see if they can actually explain what they did, not just being able to do it, but explain it as well. And then once students have come up with those steps, I will have a couple people come up to the board and write them down, and then we'll look at them as a class and see what uh, things that they felt they liked about the person's steps and what they feel like can be improved upon or like added to. So someone may forget like an important step or may have it where one thing should have really gone before another when it was after that step. And then so once we have kind of like narrowed it down to like what things like we actually liked from the general like list on the board, I would then have that written up like for the students to look back at when they actually do their work. So I would have them like solve and practice more of these types of problems using all the operations. Um, and then um, and then once they've had time to look more at those, I would then again have students like pair up and like look at like swap papers or whatever and like kind of like assess like how each of like their classmates did and see like okay try and solve those now and see if they get the same thing or how they did it was the same or different and if it works or not like if you can do it multiple ways or if there's just the one way to get the correct answer. um, yeah, and then once they're done, we would come back as a class, and I would ask for a couple like pairs to share, and then I guess like debrief on what what we learned for that day and like what they took out of it. Oh, I didn't mention. Um, so some like um, ideas for like I guess accommodations or like things to like be aware of or like to help students um, with um, like disabilities or whatever. I could have always have like whatever I'm expecting or like explaining like have it like a visual representation also like either on the board or like have them uh, like a picture for them to see um, or I could have um, like different blocks or items for them to like use to represent what's happening in the equation that they're trying to solve if they need to have like a more hands-on and visual thing. I don't know what the right term is to be able to grasp to be able to grasp this concept. Yeah. Sorry, that was kind of scattered, but yeah.
No, it's good. Yeah. Yeah, older kids need that stuff too.
Yeah.
It's good. Yeah. You tackled like more older kid thing. You still need those same like, multiple ways to solve a problem and multiple visuals. I feel like that's really helpful, especially because they're getting older. They're getting to the age where they're like, well, I don't understand it, so I'm not, or like, why do we have to do this? Or like, or why, like, or this is too hard this way. And then they just kind of give up, maybe. I don't know. At least that's how I was. I don't know.
Yeah.
But like multiple ways of doing something and like multiple examples of getting to an answer is really good because they need that because not all of them are gonna understand it the same way.
Yeah.
Yeah. And group work, I think at that age is really important because like we've all like discussed before, hearing like through your peers is sometimes more helpful than through your teacher. So like to hear your teacher explain something and then like to get the help from your peer of the work is like, I don't know, especially at that age, I feel like it's important. So I liked how you included group work or like partner work at least.
Yeah, it was really good. But yeah, other than that, yeah, it was really thorough.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, I can try and like, I guess, like try and see how to make it more like interact or like get them moving, I guess, to see if there's some way to like not just have them like sit there and like do a worksheet or just trying to find out like or figure out like kind of more um, variety or like just fun ways for people to still be engaged. So it's
Yeah.
not the same thing like all the time.
Yeah. Math is kind of a harder subject to do that in, though. It's more of a sit down and like get rather than a.
You get older, yeah.
Yeah.
When you're younger and just playing with shapes.
Yeah.
That's true.
No, I thought like your lesson plan was appropriate for like the grade that you were doing.
The age, yeah, because you can't do stuff all the time.
Yeah, I mean, maybe my delivery was not so good of it, but
It's different explaining a lesson than teaching it, I think.
yeah, that's true.
And it'll be written, it'll be more organized anyway. It's kind of just we're all reading from our bullet points and stuff. So
Yeah.
We make best. But yeah, it was good. Yeah, so I guess all we have to fill out in the Google Notes sheet is just kind of what the feedback we got was. So
Okay, cool.
easy. I think I'll have to reread it, and then submit the link, of course.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I'll do that.
But anyway, yeah, I think we all shared and got our feedback, so that's really good.
Yep.
Well, best of luck to you guys applying for the program.
Yeah, thanks.
It's not that bad, trust me. As someone who's interviewed in it and gotten in, it's not too bad. I think they make it scarier than it is, but you should still work really hard on it. But I'm just saying, they kind of make it seem really scary, and I don't know why, but it's actually really they're really nice. The special education people are really nice. And
oh, good.
Yeah, they interview just like be prepared. Write a good essay and stuff.
The first
one. And I'll probably see you guys in future classes because, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
How this major is.
Yeah, literally.
Like, are you? Yeah. Yeah. So we'll definitely cross paths again.
Yeah.
But anyway, good luck the rest of the semester with the final and.
Yeah, thanks. You too. I hope she fixes your thing, Laramie.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna email her again tonight about it. Yeah. We'll see.
Yeah. Anyway, hit the link.
Yep.
Good. Anyway, take care.
Okay.
I'll see you guys.
Bye.
Yeah, bye.
Bye.